F it. Especially I captured that a cool trick.
I saw you when we got on YouTube. We were watching it. Right?
Right. And it has Wi-Fi to do that, right?
And no way you can have to put that for YouTube. You need to do it. Right?
Right.
Did you put your idea?
My old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
After Dad took the picture.
Happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's
Now, what is
AUDIEN
this for? Fishers.
Sometimes as dads, I think we're too hard on ourselves. We get down on ourselves on not being able to, we're the providers.
Where's the fish
We
at?
also have to learn to take care of ourselves. Go out the way, you gotta pray for yourself, as well as for everybody else, but never forget yourself. Self-love
I want
made
you
me
to
a
play,
better
right,
dad
son?
because I realized my worth.
Bye.
Now back to my original setup, right?
Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We got to watch it. I thought he wasn't using we ain't seen nothing. We see it's just sweets. Right?
Right.
This is Lee Habib, and this is Our American Stories, the show where America is the star and the American people. If you want to know about the history of America, it's important that you know the role that the Bible played in the shaping of our country. Our founding fathers, Christian and non-Christian alike, were heavily influenced by the best-selling book of all time. Here to share another story is Robert Morgan, who's the author of 100 Bible verses that made America, defining moments that shaped our enduring foundation of faith. Let's take a listen.
Right?
Right.
Several years ago, a West Point graduate who's a friend of mine drove with me down to Andersonville, Georgia, to visit the National Prisoner of War Museum and to see the old Confederate POW camp, and to see with my own eyes as I wanted to do the water source known as Providence
We're going to a place that has Wi-Fi.
The story behind the spring is one of the most remarkable in American history. I found several accounts of this story by various soldiers who were imprisoned there at the time.
Even Jets.
Share one told by a man named John L. Mayle, M-A-I-L-E. When the Civil War erupted, Mayle was a Michigan teenager who enlisted with the Union Army, served bravely, and rose to the rank of lieutenant. During the Battle of the Wilderness, he was captured and shipped in a cattle car to this infamous POW camp at Andersonville, deep in the heart of Georgia, on May 23rd, 1864. The prison was really just an open meadow of 26 acres surrounded by a 15-foot-high stockade fence. Pigeon roosts were manned by guards ready to shoot any prisoner who crossed the deadline that framed the interior of the stockade. The fort was built to house 10,000 prisoners, but Mayle found himself trapped among 33,000 starving, exposed men. The only source of water was a small brook that ran through the meadow, and this was where the prisoners drank and washed and used the latrine. Furthermore, it was downstream from the Confederate camp, and the creek became known as, Mayle wrote, a vast cesspool on which a boundless swarm of flies settled down and laid their eggs continually. The odor could be detected miles away. A terrible water famine set in, and the result was that many of the ailing ones became insane with thirst. Soon, hundreds of
At night times, is it Fox Kruger?
One evening, Mayle heard a group of soldiers singing the Boxer, and he joined around an old-time stump on which he was seated an emaciated sergeant, Mr. Shepherd of Columbus, Ohio, formerly an honored preacher of the gospel.
The parade.
In past, he had frequently been called upon to offer prayer over the remains of some deceased comrade, and now he led in this old and well-known hymn.
That word at home.
Souls together. Some 20 unkept, starving, thirsty men gathered
I don't think she heard it.
and joined in the familiar strain.
Spring Easton.
Hot memories of family worship and old-time services in the meeting house, those words called up. Brother Shepherd said, I have today read in the book of Numbers about Moses striking the rock from which water gushed out and an ample supply for both men and beasts. I tell you that God will strike a rock here in Andersonville, or we shall all die of thirst. And if there is no rock here, he can smite the ground and bring forth water to supply our desperate needs. On this, I am sure. Let us ask him to do this. Pointing to an uncombed, unwashed, ragged soldier nearby, Mr. Shepherd.
Good thing God saw it.
The brother from Chicago prayed. He then successively called on all of his acquaintances, all of the other soldiers to pray, and all the prayers were poured out.
Especially the low flying. What was that?
Perhaps an hour the meeting continued, and then it closed again with the doxology. The words of the leader
You didn't see it in the video.
Lord, when you awaken during the night,
Like,
offer to God a little prayer for water. Do the same thing many times tomorrow, and let us meet in the evening to pray again for water.
you got two cars down.
Prayer stood up among the
Car?
soldiers for several
Yeah.
days. Then one morning as they awoke, as Smith said, an ominous stillness pervaded nature. By mid-morning, black clouds began rolling in, and the camp was deluged by a long-lasting cloudburst. Now, this is what Mr. Mayor said. Flashes of thunder broke over our heads, and flashes of lightning swished around us as if the air were filled with short circuits. As the mighty deluge swept through the clearing west of the prison, we bowed our heads in preparation for submersion. When it came upon us, the sensation was as if a million buckets of water were being poured out upon us all at once. When the storm finally ended, a prisoner near the north gate began shouting, "A spring! A spring!" Well, later on in his memoirs, Prison Life in Andersonville, the vent of the spring of purest crystal water shot up into the air like a column and fell again in a fan-like spray and went babbling down the frame. I've read other accounts by prisoners who describe how during the storm a lightning bolt struck inside the deadline between where the prisoners were and the stockade fence, releasing an underground spring, and the spring still gurgles to this day. If you visit Andersonville, as I do, you can tour the National Prisoner of War Museum and then walk through the area of the stockade and then amble over to its fine shelter and see what is still called to this day Providence Spring and read the inscription on the rock there which says, God smote the hillside and gave him rain. August 16th, 1864.
And a terrific job on the production, editing, and storytelling by our own Greg Hingle. And a special thanks to Robert Morgan, who's the author of 100 Bible verses that made America. Finding moments that shaped by direct quotation of faith.
Yes, you did?
We have missed it.
Yes.
Why?
Cause
Having your car for?
we're kids.
You didn't do it.
Right.
They said. Well, they still do it.
What the? Good thing I took a ton of permanent shots. Permanent shots.
Instead of making a tax-deductible donation to Our American Stories, go to OurAmericanStories.com. Give a little, give a lot. That's OurAmericanStories.com. Weather pattern for the next few days, but it will be a little on the warm side. We're headed for the upper 80s with sunny skies today. Overnight looks clear, low 60s. Breezy, and expecting mid-80s for the afternoon high on Monday and Sunday. Looks like things will stay sunny on Tuesday with upper
America. To learn how you can help, visit legion.org.
I never realized that I'd be taking care of a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old on my own. I think men can be a little stubborn sometimes where pride gets in the way and they may want to help, they may not know how to ask. With my traditions, with the family support in mind, and just with my mind frame, I was able to turn a negative into a positive. I knew I needed more tools in my toolbox to take care of these little girls that had just lost their mother. It's time for me to be that father that I knew I could be. I think just being that good role model as well, that models good behavior rather than going to work every day, coming home and being able to put on that smile. The biggest reward about being a dad is sitting back and watching your kids be happy.
Never stop being a dad. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
New federal guidelines have nearly doubled the number of Americans eligible for lung cancer screening. Insurance companies are required to cover these tests for those ages 50 to 80 who currently smoke or used to smoke. Along with new treatments, lung cancer screening saves lives. If you are 50 to 80 years old and smoke or used to smoke, talk to your doctor about lung cancer screening. For more information and to find a screening center near you, visit the National Lung Cancer Roundtable at nlcrt.org.
Give me a few minutes, because I think your ideas are about to change too. Listen to Skyline Drive, wherever you get your podcasts.
And we continue with our American stories. And up next, Mike Levin, who was the president and chief operating officer of Las Vegas Sands, and an all-around hotel superstar, one of the great hoteliers of all time. More important, a personal friend, and a wise man. And wisdom, my goodness, in short supply these days.
The Mexican restaurant?
Transfers his wisdom through story. A Jewish guy who loves storytelling like almost nobody else. Take it away, Mike.
What I learned about the franchise business really at the start of the days, and it's
Do they
really
got
made
Wi-Fi?
an amazing impact on me, but you have to understand that my culture of customer orientation was really exacerbated by the franchise business. Because what happens in franchising is you put people in business for themselves, but not by themselves. And the interesting thing about it is it multiplies the entrepreneurial spirit of a free capitalistic type of system. But because many small people in terms of financial capability, don't have the funds to be able to be in business for themselves at a larger scale. What franchising does is allow them to do that because the franchise provides them the ability to finance their growth. So they're playing off the name of the big franchisor while being in business for themselves. So it really fits America perfectly. Now it's international, but it was basically American. It's basically, if you look at the franchise model in Asia, the franchise model in Europe, using